covered a lot of ground. So it was neat to kind of see him be vulnerable and tough, and then learning, and then selling his knowledge to people. So to answer your question, yes. But yeah, I need an egg.
What's your favorite line as Ezio?
Ezio? God, I'm trying to think. We had a lot of fun with, if you played the game, there's this random scene where he, I forget the other character's name, he's talking about coffee and the discovery of coffee. And we had a lot of, and actually, what's funny about this is that my favorite line never made it into the game because we were having fun. It was this very funny scene where this guy offers him, cafe, and he's like, cafe, it's cafe. And this guy says, oh, it's this drink derived from beans, and you put hot water over it and all that stuff. And I'm going like, really? They're talking about coffee in the game. And so on one of the takes, I just was messing around with the guys, and I started saying, what is this coffee? Like, okay, but have you thought considering putting milk and a little bit of ice and put it in a blender and then blend it all together and put some whipped cream and call it frappuccino? And it's like, they were like, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm like, what? They didn't invent blenders back then? Like, frappuccino's already been trademarked. Who'd have thought? But no, I guess, golly, there's so many because he does. I mean, obviously you gotta love the Requiescat and Pache, like after he delivers those things, and it's tough for me to do that stuff here now. So quiet. He's a soft-spoken kind of guy for the most part, and I wish I could do the scene for you. The one that I enjoyed doing the most was there. It's the first time Ezio starts to basically say, "Bring it on! I'm coming after you guys for what you did to my family," and he makes this declarative statement about how the Auditori are not dead.
Oh yeah.
I'm still alive. I get goosebumps thinking about it right now because I had so much fun delivering that in the studio, because it's neat to get to do that kind of. I mean, I'm 5'5". When do I ever get to act tough without it ending very poorly? So this is a guy who watched his family, murdered in front of everybody, and he knew it was a corrupt system. And after he's coming after everybody, he delivers this one speech where he's just like, "My family's not dead. I still live. Me, Ezio Auditore," and it's delivered with this, real urine and vinegar type of delivery, and it's really cool. I wish I could do it again. I can't scream it out, but that particular scene where you're like, "The Auditore, I'm not dead." Loved that scene. It was we worked real hard. I kept trying to make sure. I want to make sure we get this to a pivotal scene as far as I was concerned. It is what it is when you play the game. It kind of comes and goes, and I was like, oh, like playing the game, going, oh, okay, well, but I had fun doing it. Yeah, I wish other than that. I'm trying to think if there's something funny, but he never really says too much in the way of comedy. It's like he's usually it's up to the other characters. Like if anything, the famous line from Assassin's Creed 2 is definitely "It's a me, Mario," where his uncle comes in and everybody's like, oh boy, the eye roller, but that's his Uncle Mario. So, and that was, all these people are like, oh, that's so bad. Like, they knew what they were doing. It was meant to be a joke. It was meant to be, because we knew a lot of people were going to be taking issue with, there was actually somebody who had filed a petition online for, Italian actors only for this, and, I actually signed the petition just because I thought it was funny. I was like, I agree, that's terrible. Just waiting to see, how dare they hire actors who can do different characters and stuff, but I think, that obviously Ubisoft was having fun with it. The guys, I cannot begin to tell you on that game the amount of research that creative team put into all the historical elements of the game, but then just the creative aspect of interweaving all these stories together and having it be what it is, and still have it be a fun video game. It's incredible, the amount of work that they put in. That's why it's like, to be just the smallest part of this, as far as coming in and doing a voice, is incredible. Because these guys, I think it was a team of over 400 employees working on Assassin's Creed 2 alone. And you realize that's 400 people working on a video game. And it's thousands and thousands and thousands of man hours. And I get to come in for 4 hours at a time and just go like, and people go like, wow, you're Ezio. I was like, no. I got to voice that guy, but those people created it. you know, the writers, and all the guys who worked on it. So, yeah, that's why I like little things like, it's a me, Mario. Because, you know, everything's so serious, and all of a sudden they throw that in to remind you, you're playing a game. It's a game, and it's, you know, it's made the day, like people who know what they're doing.
So Chris and Izzy were your two like lead roles, so you're trying to like audition for more people.
Yeah, and so Chris and Ezio were the two main, like, probably the two biggest lead roles I've had for video game work. And you're asking if I'm trying to audition for more?
Maybe for anime or something?
The answer is always. I mean, we're always, you know, as actors, you're always out just, I mean, your job, as it's been quoted by other people, is to audition. Your job isn't necessarily to book things, because if your job was to book things, you'd be terrible at your job. I mean, I could show you in a stack of audition papers, you know, this tall throughout a year, you might book like that much.
If you're like the lead role in the anime, does that mean you're kind of set for a while? Because you know, if you're a lead role, assuming you know you're in a long series, you're kind of
but I would also, you know, argue to say that your job is never set. I mean, you know, to sit there and say that, well, I got the lead role in this anime series, so I can just, you know, phone it in, or, you know, they can't do anything without me. It's like, no, you're very replaceable at any given point in time. In fact, one of the things, what? Well, no, I'm saying, like, look, you gotta understand, we actually. Some of the jobs that voice actors do in motion pictures is what they call ADR. I think it stands for automated dialogue replacement. And what you'll have is, you have like, Tom Cruise goes in and does this big blockbuster movie. Tom Cruise gets paid a lot of money. The next thing you know, they found out that when they were on set and Tom Cruise said one of his lines, a truck was driving by in the background and honked its horn, and that ruined the line. So they need to go in and get the audio done again. Sometimes Tom Cruise isn't available, or they really don't want to have to pay Tom Cruise to come in and stand in front of a voiceover microphone and say, you know, get down again. So they'll hire voice actors who can do voice matching and sound like him, because we're going to work for a lot cheaper than Tom Cruise is. You know, I don't get paid millions of dollars for every session. It's so strange. I know, even though I demand it. And so that's one of the jobs that you do. You go in and they refer to it as a voice match or a sound-alike. And it's in movies all the time, and if it's done really, really well, you would have no clue that you're listening to somebody who is that's not the actor who did that. So when I say we're highly replaceable, I mean, if I have a bad attitude or if I start doing poorly in my job, they're on to the next list. You know, they're gonna pick up the phone if they can. I mean, your job is to make sure that they don't need to or that they would never want to. So that's why I say, you know, just because you get the lead doesn't mean, you know, they might recast. Because again, you have to remind yourself too, like I said, with Assassin's Creed 2, there were 400 people, if not, and I might have that figure wrong, it might have even been more, that were working on this game. And there's a lot of money at stake, and there's a lot of investors, and there's a lot of people who put in a lot of capital and all that kind of stuff. And my little voice, my little character is not necessarily the biggest thing on their minds. And so if it's just not working, it might come down to nothing but a business decision where it's like, you know, it's happened to me before where it's like, hey, we really liked you as this guy, but your voice is too deep with that character. And the guy that we've already cast as this guy, the two of you together, it would be too macho all the way across the board. But this guy needs to sound a little thin in his voice or a little higher pitched. And so they say, hey, thank you so much. You just got to go with somebody different. And you're like, okay. Yeah, it's like, but it's a business decision. It's at the end of the day, it's not that they're like, dude, you stink at your job and you should quit. You know, it's like, good luck in life. They're just saying like, yeah, I mean, that's the pressure that you're under. That's, you know, but you know, business. It's like any other business. It's a lot at stake. And sometimes it's like, hey, you sound too gravelly. So we want this guy to be, you know, weaker, or you know, when it comes to advertising and stuff like that, you know, it's like, I might be okay for Pizza Hut, but I might be completely wrong for Hallmark. You know? Buy yourself a birthday card. Sound that great, whereas they get somebody who sounds much more pleasant and approachable. So that's how it works. You know? It's like you audition like crazy. You always want to be, you know, have your irons in as many fires as possible, so that when it clicks, they like you for what you do, you get to go. Because I've had people say, like, you know, how did you get the role of Chris, or how did you know? What did you say to Ubisoft to get the role of Ezio? I was like, I didn't say anything. I just like, it's not like I pick up the phone and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to do Ezio, so just go ahead and clear your schedule. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you go in and you audition. It's like, and they make the decisions. I've even had people say, like, you know, it's a good thing you you picked up the phone, like, why? Well, because so-and-so was out of town, so we went with you. Like, thanks.
Wow.
Like, yeah, but it's like,
Brutal.
hey, and at that point you just kind of go, all right, cool. I'm gonna show you guys that, you know, I should have been your first choice all along.
Do you like audition?